Not all workers have the same tolerance for risk, like I kind of talked about earlier to set this up. Some workers may not dislike risk, like a few examples I gave. The textbook compares these workers to motorcycle riders who don't wear helmets or even long sleeves or leather jackets and zip through traffic, weaving in and out of lanes 100 miles an hour. I'm sure if you've driven on the highway, you've had to deal with people cutting in and out like that. If workers are not simply willing to accept some risk, but they actually enjoy risk like these people, then they can have a negative reservation wage that you don't have to pay them more than the safe job. In fact, they could pay less than the safe job because these people enjoy some of the risk. So this is basically a supply and demand curve like we saw before, except it's a little bit more extreme. In this case, the left side of the supply curve, these workers are risk loving. They enjoy the risk. So the compensating wage differential right here, W1 minus W0 star, that's negative. It's right here is zero, our x-axis. Normally it's down here because we don't extend the wages into the negative territory. Since we're dealing with compensating differentials, we can do that here. Now, one of the reasons why this looks a little different is because some are willing to accept negative compensating differential, but some are, or I guess the firm only wants some workers, a few workers, a small number of workers. So we have this downward sloping demand curve like normal, but it's extremely steep and it crosses over here in this negative territory. So E star here, this represents the number of workers in the risky jobs in equilibrium. Sorry for the click. And this right here, where it crosses at point P, trace it over here, and that is the negative compensating differential. So the difference between the safe job and the risky job and salary is actually negative, that it's lower wages for the riskier job. So it may seem like risk-loving workers don't exist, especially because we're thinking about physical injuries here, and that it may be tougher to imagine them. But we can think of another type of risk that makes it a little bit more obvious. Entrepreneurs. Some people want the safety and the consistency of working for a large company that they know won't suddenly go out of business and has stable hours, stable paycheck, all of that. Others want the freedom and, frankly, the pressure of being their own boss and running a small company, despite or because of the value that they feel from the risk involved in running it. That's some of that risk. I don't know if any of you watch the TV show or the cartoon Bob's Burgers, where they run a struggling burger restaurant. And part of his joy is running that restaurant, even though there's so much risk, and basically every episode they're running out of money. Yeah, okay. I think, we're getting pretty late, so I'm going to stop here and we will pick up with the hedonic wage theory in next lecture.